Well, hey everybody, Mark Russo here, and class is in session today, and we're talking about compression. What is compression? Well, compression, everybody has a different definition of it, but really, we all agree it's that flush feel where we really squeeze the ball off the club face, and it explodes out there, goes far, feels amazing, barely feel it off the face. It's that thing we're all chasing every time we strike an iron, even with a driver too, of course, but especially with irons. Just a special feel about really crushing one off the turf. So today we're going to talk about some basic keys that I want you to think about to help increase your level of compression, your pure strikes, and start to hit your irons a lot better and the way you want to hit them. So first off, we're going to start with wrist angles. What are they? Well, first off, we want to talk about how your wrists work in the swing. And for many of you, your wrists want to cup open the face, and that leads you to a very steep, over-the-top type move. So we're going to talk today about how we can get your wrists in a better position to maybe help you squeeze that ball off the club face just a little bit better, okay? We're also going to talk about body angles. What should your body look like, and how should it work as a general rule for you in your backswing and into impact? Certainly there's going to be generalizations, there's going to be differences along the way with body types. Maybe you've got an injury we've got to work around. But in general, I'm going to give you an overall picture of what I like to see and what the best ball strikers have a tendency to do. And then we're also going to talk about pressure shift. You might call it weight shift. All of us in the golf community and the golf nerds, we call it pressure shift, but you can call it weight shift. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. But what is it? Well, we know, and most of you know, because I hear it all the time in my lessons, is, man, I got to get off my back foot, pro. I got to get on my front side. I'm always hanging back. Well, don't disagree with that. The best ball strikers have a lot of pressure in their front side at impact. But it's not just about how much, but when. And that doesn't get talked about by many of you very often. So we're going to just touch on those three areas just a little bit here, okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to move our little slideshow over here, and we're going to talk about some drills for compression. So first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to go from the bottom up. We're going to talk about wrist angles. How do we get better wrist angles? Well, first off, one of my favorite toys, and if you've taken a lesson from me, you've seen this one, is my smiley face. I've got the high-tech stuff, and then I got the cheap stuff. This guy's lasted me about 8 years. So you're going to take a racket, or you can make yourself one of these, just a cut-down shaft, and you're going to work on setup and getting the club face to feel, the smiley face, like he looks more at the floor. Especially, this is really for you all who are steep divot takers, slicers, hit a lot of toe shots or hosel it really steep and out. You've got to start to get your wrist angles in a better place. So start making some rehearsal swings with the club face looking down. And what I tell my students, from my perspective, you'll never see the smiley face. Okay? So I never see him. Now I'm starting to de-loft it. I'm starting to change the path of the club too as well because of how the face wants to work. Okay? So slow motion stuff, and we'll show you what the bad one looks like. I see a lot of this. Rolling of the face. Look where he's looking. And I'll tell you right now, folks, if you do this drill and you see him, we got trouble. Okay, so we got to start to work your wrist angles here. And the problem with working on this kind of thing is you can't do it at high speeds. This needs to be some deliberate work where you're getting in front of a mirror, feel that smiley face down, almost like he's looking up at the ceiling, away towards you, back to impact, and through. And then you can migrate to half swings, hitting some balls, where we might then just take a short club and work small little swings where flatter left wrist face to the floor and just hit some small ones and get some really good stingers coming off the face there, okay? So we want to make sure that we're working on the club face and having a tool to do that. And you got to do it slow. Be patient with it, okay? One other tool you can use, you can use a hanger and put it along the side of the grip, or you can use a little educator here from Tour Striker, my friend Martin Chuck, great tool here. Just goes in the end of the club. I get it on the forearm there, and we start making some slow motion work here. If you cup your wrist, watch where this thing goes. Right off. So you're going to go slow with this, back into impact, and make some practice swings for me working on feeling some connection here. And then you can migrate to hitting some small shots like we talked about, half swings, with the educator on there. And it's a great little tool for hitting some pitch shots and getting your impact a little bit better in your wrist angles. Okay? So now we talk about wrist angles, just a couple little items there to help you with that. And we're going to talk about body angles. What are we talking about here? So specifically we're talking about, first off, how your upper body wants to work. Most of the best ball strikers are going to have a lot of bend this direction to the turf. Left side bend, whatever you want to call it. I just like to look at it like an airplane here. We want the airplane tilted this way, okay? Many of you will raise your shoulders and stand up in the backswing. And in my experience, giving roughly 1,000 lessons a year, people who stand up in the backswing rarely go back to it. They will tilt, stay tall, and a lot of inconsistent strikes are going to happen. No compression. So you're going to work on this at home for me across the collarbone here, okay? This is an oldie but a goodie. Everybody does this one. This is a good one. All right? And if I'm set up to the ball here, that's going to be somewhere on the ball line to maybe slightly above it, but most of you will be here. And now we're going to tilt. No chance, okay? So as an addition to that, we start working on the backswing. We could also work on impact a little bit. And so you can take a rod and throw it through your belt loop, okay? And just, again, this is homework stuff you're going to do without hitting a ball. Now you've got a picture of what your pelvis is going to do. And then we're going to put the one across the shoulders. We're going to tilt here. Great. And you'll notice from your vantage point, those two sticks at the end kind of converge. And I'm not really trying to do anything here. I'm just letting my shoulders feel turned and tilted to the ground. And then I'm going to start turning back into my left side. And there's impact. And look at that. They come back together again. Many of you will go here and this way. We maintain space here. We're also not rotating. So great drill for you to start to feel that. Turn and tilt. Rotate back. There's impact. Up into follow through. And you'll notice too, when I follow through, I still have some bend this way. Okay? So we've got a couple different ways to work on body angles. And then last, pressure shifting. So let's talk about that. How can we get better at this? So a couple different ways. Ropes are a big thing in the teaching community now, and I think they are great, as long as you've got the right ropes and you have some supervision. One of the tools that I'll use is the Orange Whip Compact. Nice little one to get you to feel change of direction. So I'll just say to my students, look, make some nice easy swings. And when you get to the top here, I want you to feel your pressure shift to your front foot before you feel this ball bend at the top. Now, will it bend? Sure. But some of my students will get it up here. It'll bend a ton, and then they'll go, and now they're stuck. They're stuck into the right side. The club is going to early release, and we're going to have a lot of difficulty with compression. So change of direction. Feel that. Great tool, not only for warming up, but just for overall swing motion. So try the Orange Whip Compact, see how that works for you. And then we can also work into a step drill. So if you have baseball background, this will be easier for you, but you'll get it with a little practice. Set up, bring your front foot back to your trail foot, and as we're swinging back, we're going to stride back into our stance width. And you'll notice, as I do it, the club is still moving back when I start go this way. Now some of you will kind of stop and it'll be a little herky-jerky. Don't sweat it. Keep it up. Keep practicing a little bit. As that club is probably reaching about left arm parallel, I'm getting my weight shifting, okay? Now why am I doing that? Because we want to have as much as 75 or 80% into our left side here at impact. But if I wait, finish the backswing, and then go, which good players generally aren't going to do, they're going to change direction much earlier than a lot of my high handicap students. We want to be able to get you over here, but if you finish the backswing and do not shift pressure early enough, you're going to dive into that trail side and never get over there. You might get 75 or 80 there, but it's going to be too late, okay? And you're going to have some contact issues, okay? So Orange Whip, step drill, great stuff for you to feel how you're going to get there, okay? So the step drill too, I just wanted to add that on here, is you can certainly hit balls like that, start with no ball and then add a tee. Okay, so we're going to set up. We'll just pretend I have this on a tee here. Step into my stance and go. You'll really get some good contact and it'll feel very powerful and free. And it may jump up club speed for you too, which is not a bad thing. Okay, so we got a few different drills and ways to hit these 3 different areas. Okay, so now let's talk briefly about a little plan for you to take advantage of time in your office, at home. It's cold outside here today, it's 38. How do I get work in? Okay, you're not in here with me. It's nice and toasty here, it's 70 degrees. So what are you gonna do? Well, first off, let's talk about the king of all of it, okay? Compression is all about center contact. So the last piece to this, obviously, is we gotta make sure we're hitting the center of the face, okay? So a lot of you see this trick, and all my students know it. My students are easily identifiable on the range because they're pulling this out. Spray the face, make sure you're striking it in the middle, okay? All right, let's see. Okay, a little thin, a little bit on the bottom. Fairly center, but a little towards the bottom there, a little bladed, no problem. Let's give it another go here, okay? Okay, so a little better. That's my miss, a little in the heel, but pretty solid, okay? So we're always checking contact, okay? Always checking contact. Now, here's your homework assignment. Can you do 100 swings a day in different ways to work in these areas? So we're going to work through it briefly. I'm not going to do obviously all the swings, but we've got it up here for you. 15, 20, 20, 15, 30. That should add up. You're probably better at math than me, but that should add up to 100. So we're going to do wrist angle work with our smiley face in the mirror. Up to the top, check it. Back through, finish. 15 times. Body work. The 2 sticks. Back, through to impact, up. 20 back swings, 20 down swings, 20 swings essentially, okay? So, impact bag work. Create an impact bag if you don't have one of these guys. Just take a duffel bag, fill it with towels, okay? What does impact feel like? Okay, I got my good wrist angles. Here, weight on the left, handle in front a little bit, right arm, trail arm for the righties, bent just a little bit. Awesome, okay, good. Work on that. Orange whip, take your orange whip, do some of your change of direction drills, feeling like that change of direction's happening just a little bit before the whip bends at the top. So you've got limited time, you're busy, you've got work, kids, life, everything. Trying to maximize your practice so you can become better at compressing the ball. I think if you work on these 3 areas, these seem to be areas that I always seem to run into with my students. If we can be pretty decent in all these areas, you're going to make better contact and have a lot more fun and have a lot more balls jump off the middle of the club face. So try these 3 little areas, do your homework, spend a little bit of time on yourself, take a break, practice a little bit, and I think you're going to see some big improvement on compression this year in 2020. Hope that helps, and we'll see you on the lesson tee.